Hey there, Goa fans. This is Mark, DJ Solitaire, here with episode 135 of Retro Goa Explorations, my weekly series in which I share in each episode one of my favorite tracks from the 1990s Goa Trance psychedelic dance movement. So we are still in the 1997 to 1998 season. So from the autumn of 97 through to the end of the summer of 1998. So tracks that I encountered then that were produced then. And my goodness, what a time. There's just so much. The amount of music was really increasing. With more artist albums coming out, more projects coming to the fore, and it was just a really exciting time in this scene as well. So, from the autumn of in the autumn of '97, I was still living in the UK, and I moved back to Japan in the spring of 1998. And I can't place exactly when I got this particular track. I believe it was November 97, but it might have been on a later visit when I went down to the south of Japan to visit my friend Jeff, who was living in Tokushima in Japan, an American fellow with a Japanese family and a fabulous DJ and a great friend. He had arranged that party for me to play at, where I played the night party and Richard Purple played the after party. And I remember definitely getting this from him, but I just can't remember which visit it was. But it was sometime in the season, and it was released, I think, a little bit before this. It did come out in 1997. It was a vinyl only, which surprised me when I just did research because I remember this in association with a CD compilation on the same label, which I also got from Jeff. But we're talking about Question Mark Records, and the track is by Deedrah, and it is called Le Hasard et la Necessité. So this came out on a vinyl only, I believe the first single released on Question Mark Records. And I know that the label had been founded before the summer of '97 because I remember meeting Dado when I was in Paris in, I think it might have been May, possibly June 1997. You could look up the date, but close enough. And he had a question mark records t-shirt on. And so the label was around, and this was the first single. So there were four tracks on it. They're all wonderful. And I just want to explore a little bit about the title because it is really kind of cool. So go with Professor Glasses, go on here. Le hasard et la nécessité is in English, it's chance and necessity. So the subtitle, Essai sur la philosophie naturelle de la biologie moderne, or Essay on the Natural Philosophy of Modern Biology. Excusez-moi. So this is a 1970 book written by Nobel Prize winner Jacques Monod, which is aimed at a general audience. Certainly sounds like it, doesn't it? Describing basic characteristics of life to do with modern biochemistry and molecular biology. And it argues that life arose by chance. So hasard, in this case, par hasard in French, is by chance, without predetermination. So it's talking about, blind chance guided by natural selection, could not have been predicted, does not have a higher purpose, and so on. So, according to the introduction, the book's title was inspired by a line attributed to Democritus. Everything existing in the universe is the fruit of chance and necessity. So that's kind of cool. Of course, folks in this scene, folks in that psychedelic state might be debating, is everything by chance? Is everything predetermined? Is everything designed? Is it not? These are all kinds of questions and concepts and states that you can get into, and you can certainly see all the sides, and you can see that there's no side. I mean, it's all kind of fascinating to consider. So in any case, that is what the inspiration of the title was. Don't have any more information than that, but that's certainly plenty to consider. What else I can tell you about this track, though, is that it is a real kicker at 130 BPM. Too bad I didn't do it for episode 130, but there we go. It is one of those slower tracks that just packs a punch, and it really builds up the tension from the inside, and just magnificent. There's a lot going on melodically, there's long sweeps, but there's also this, grungy, gnarly, kind of slightly aggro stuff happening, and it's, gnarly and textured and juicy and fat, threnching, as we explored a couple of weeks ago. Really, really wonderful stuff. It's a big time favorite. Nowadays, this kind of slower stuff doesn't seem to have as much of an avenue, unfortunately, but I think there's lots of places that this kind of masterpiece can be dropped in, and I've done that several times, and it's going back in the folder because I just love it. And it brings back really fond memories of a really key pivotal time in this musical scene, and also in my life in general and in this scene. So without further ado, how about I get this track playing and we can explore it. It's a nice long one, close to 10 minutes, and lots going on. So here we are, Le hasard et la nécessité by Deedrah. Some wonderful combinations of sounds here at the opening. Again, I just love how all the tracks, love that familiar sound from Trancewave. Just love how all the tracks have their full story. Just listen to that. This marching, approaching, kind of booming message. And then as soon as the kick comes in, all this atonal stuff. It's amazing. Just, it's not interval. Really key aspect of the track here. Again, just intervals with pitch but not tone. And one of the many whooshes to just really sear through and slice through the air. Notice the extra higher range, semi-percussive elements going on there. Then another slice. There's the tension of this unresolved note, which then slides down. So really we've got a lot of abstract stuff going on here, right? So there's no clear structure. It's not quite as linear as some tracks could get. There's a lot of really boomy shapes and sounds and textures. Some of these textures here. Right, so we have more of a pitch or tone to that bass line, but the rest is really, pitched but more textured as opposed to tone. Great pause. Again, like all of these riffs become like quantum messages. Now on to the next phase. I love that sound. So now we get a bit of a change in tonality here. Textures are really transparent, really full-bodied. Great use of a rolling kick there. Super hypnotic, right? So when this kind of stuff just repeats, just really zone out, and then everything that comes in then has that much more impact, right? Notice we've got another 8-bar section here. There we go. Growls, sort of snarling, sneering, very suggestive. Just the way that slid up and then opened up that upper frequency to these figurations. Everything here seems to mimic human or superhuman speech. And so there's a combination of rhythm and a pitch and the inflection. Great rush. Some of those lines from earlier on come back in. And the combination right of that long lyrical line as well as that two-note bass line is really rich. Suggested clap. It doesn't sound like a clap, but it kind of does. And now there's this kind of anguished cry coming up here. So notice the rhythm, and then the tonality, and just the shaping of it. Then it really mimics some kind of verbal communication. Combination of, really granular texturality and then also that sort of bleepy electronic just really fused well together. Again, it's got this two-note riff. Another very creative structural aspect coming up here. The stillness. Right, so then tension just ramps up that much more now. So I've got a little extra juice here with how the riff's evolving. I also just love the contrast of those long lyrical notes above while all this rich abundance of sounds is happening. Another key change. How it's now just in little sections here. It's actually really two voices that are happening, but they kind of sound like one. That is a beautiful sound. There it is. So many great textured whooshes, which on a big system is just magnificent. is this ambient atmospheric fade. I mean, really powerful stuff. Can you believe that was like close to 10 minutes? I mean, there's a lot going on, but what a storyline. Just the way those riffs evolve, the way things come in and out, the way just that hypnotic pulse of that two-note bass line is transforms, goes through some key shifts, and that pause, right, where there was just silence and some of that noise, and then just that searing rip through that continues the story. Just phenomenal, phenomenal music making by Deedrah, who I didn't clarify here is one half of the former Transway Frederick Kolishevsky. What a masterpiece. Again, 130 BPM. At that time, I mean, that music was still being made, obviously. This was made. But in terms of a storyline, and in terms of, something I love to do with this kind of thing is, just at the right phase where, there's a transition in light happening, or at a certain phase of the party, you put in something slower like this as this kind of transition. And, what comes before and after doesn't have to be the same BPM, or it can be part of a, slower range or slower period. However you do it, there's a lot of versatility and just the richness of the textures and the story and the depth of this music. Now, again, some of this might have been consciously designed, or it might have been, by hazard or by chance, as the title suggests, right? In any case, absolutely magnificent. Thanks, Dedo, for that beautiful masterpiece that I've loved for close to 30 years. So I'm going to wrap up and let you listen to the whole beautiful thing without my commentary. I'm Mark DJ Solitaire, wrapping up episode 135 of Retro Goa Explorations with the beautiful, long, meandering, deep, probing, inquisitive track by Deedrah, Le hasard et la nécessité.